Hello, everybody. My name's Emma Duncan, and I'm the current president of the American Society for Bone and Mineral Research. Today, I'm talking to the two co-chairs for the Early Stage Investigator Committee, Dr. Sabs Ramchand and Lauren Surface. Welcome to you both.
Thank you,
Thanks so much.
It's great to be here.
So my first question to you is, what is the remit of your committee?
Yes, so we are functioning to serve the early stage investigators of this society. We have a number of different programs, which we can discuss, but we really want to get young people engaged in the society and feel that they're supported and can make progress in their careers through our work. Yeah.
So Sabs, I think you and I first met when you became one of the two inaugural chairs of the Early Career Investigator Society that, when I was the president of ANZ Bone and Mineral Society, I set up with the help of the then president-elect Peter Croucher, whose job it was really to create the remit and to put this into place. Could I ask you about your reflections about that time and how that feels coming now into your ASBMR Early Stage Investigator Committee role?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it seemed like a lifetime ago. It actually was about a decade ago, but I would say that was one of the pivotal, for me anyways, the pivotal step in my volunteering role and giving back to society. So at that point in time, and for those who don't know, the ASBMS is the Australian New Zealand Bone and Mineral Society. It's a lot smaller in its kind of membership compared to the ASBMR, with a lot of members from Australia, New Zealand, and the Asia Pacific region. And at that point in time, I was newish to the society. I had been there for a few years, and I was just beginning my career in musculoskeletal health. And I was approached by Peter Croucher to form this committee. And starting that committee and actually learning and meeting so many new people who were in the similar career stage to me was really wonderful. I think the networking and the friendships that we made at that point in time have lasted us this entire time. And a lot of them, we have really supported each other in our careers for over the last decade. So in terms of just friendships and support, I think it has been wonderful. But also, I think for me, that was the first leadership role that I really had taken on, as I'd mentioned. And I learned so much about governance, about how to run a committee. So it's a really steep learning curve. And I did, a lot of that learning came from, of course, on the job, and my co-chair, Joshua Lewis, who was, more experienced in terms of committee work at the time compared to me. I learned a lot from him, but also from sitting in on council meetings and really seeing how the meetings were run, what the tasks were, for the society, how we got got all of those things done in such a timely manner, because of course this isn't our day job. So how to balance really our jobs and our societal roles was really important to learn.
Yeah. And I know, Lauren, that you've served on a number of committees as well before you've come into the ESI as well. And I'm just wondering, Lauren, if I could ask you a little bit about the benefits of having exposure to governance processes when you're an early career or an early stage investigator, because I think this is one of the things that we try the most. I mean, there's certainly the leadership programs, the mentorship programs, the science development programs, but exposure to governance is one of the things that people often don't see the need for or aren't even aware happens. Perhaps I could ask you to reflect upon that, given your background.
Yeah, this was something I didn't even think would be part of it. You don't think about governance, but having that training in, okay, you have to make it through all these items. You have to get everyone in your group on board, and you have to do it in a timely fashion. This is so important just in your daily life, interacting with people in your own group, interacting with, let's say you have a faculty search committee. How do you make all of these things happen? This has been just a really valuable training in that. And, I was a member of the committee when Sabs was the co-chair with Ben Frisch. And, I really value how Sabs has been running this committee, and I've learned a lot from her over these past few years.
I think this exposure to governance is one of the key things that we try to do. And so even if people aren't voting members of a committee, even just observing committees and making sure that early stage investigators have an opportunity to sit in on search committees, to sit in on board meetings and so forth. I regard this as being a very useful way to watch. And I'd be interested, as the chairpersons of the committee, is this something that you promote amongst your committee members?
Yeah, definitely. A person in our committee is our liaison to the council, and we value that, and hearing their descriptions of what's been going on with the council. That's been a really important part of our meetings.
And how did you both, Sabs has mentioned a little bit about how she got involved initially with the ESI in Australia. Can I ask, Lauren, what brought you to volunteer for this role and subsequently to become the chair?
My background is not necessarily in bone research. I did a second postdoc in bone research in Mass General Hospital, and they were really encouraging to get involved in this society, and they really pushed me to volunteer for the Early Stage Investigator Committee. And so I did, and since then it's been just incredibly valuable and a really wonderful way to get inserted into academia. Yeah.
Do you think that your experiences as a volunteer have played a part in what's going on in your life outside the ASBMR from an academic perspective?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's helped me, run my lab better, helped me see what opportunities are available for postdocs and grad students in the lab, and helps me network even within the university. So that's been really nice for me. Yeah.
And what about you, Sabs? How do you think that your volunteering has informed your day job?
I think, it has informed and supported more than one facet of my career. I think the connections that I've made, because a part of, while I do clinical work in endocrinology, I'm also very interested in musculoskeletal health, specifically in osteoporosis, and my research work has been in that area. And so this is really, I consider it my kind of home society. And the number of connections that I've made, I cannot even quantify how valuable that has been. I have got mentorship as well as sponsorship. So many opportunities I feel like have opened up just by being a member of the society and playing an active role. And that has really then kind of shaped then my career, and allowed me to, I guess, really grow. I think if I was just stuck with the institution that I worked at and didn't actually have a place in a society, that the growth may still occur. It would be slower and probably limited in its scope. So I feel because we are an international society, I have really been able to form connections, internationally and nationally, and really grow in my career. And the leadership roles that I've had have been, the lessons that I've learned from those have been things that I play in every part of my life, whether it's in my career or even in my.
Thank you for sharing how this has influenced what happens in your day jobs. And so could I ask you about your lives outside of your day jobs and outside of the ASBMR? If I could ask you to share something that perhaps the broader membership doesn't know about you, but that you would like to introduce people to. Lauren.
Yeah, sure. I really love the outdoors and hiking and, going on mountain treks. For example, when we had the ASBMR in Seattle this past year, my lab all came up to Mount Rainier, which is where I'm from, and we went on a lovely hike up to the, highest peak. So that was really important to me.
I think if you can manage, I think one of the very few perks of being away from your family and traveling for work is that it does mean that you can sometimes have a half day or a day of exploring the outdoor or exploring the art gallery. So I applaud people taking the chance to get to know something about the place that they're visiting too. And what about you, Sabs? What's something about you that the membership might not know?
Yeah, it's always tough talking about yourself, I feel, but I would say that I have a really varied background geographically. So I was born in Zambia, which many of you may know is the home to one of the natural wonders of the world, the Victoria Falls. I then moved when I was 2 years old to Botswana, where I, grew up and then left when I was about 17 to Australia. And I left at the time to start medical school. So I then grew, spent a lot of my university life and then the early parts of my career in Melbourne, Australia. Completed my fellowship there, and then I worked for staff for 1 or 2 years, and then moved across to the United States. So our family, and then married, of course, to somebody whose family all live in Asia as well. So we spend a lot of our vacation time, traveling the globe to visit our families. I have a young family at the moment. I have two boys, a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old. So a lot of my time outside of work and, the society is spent with them and growing up our family.
And I think you really emphasize how international our society is, but also how international our science is as well. Well, thank you both very much for sharing your time with me today, and I look forward to working with you over the rest of my presidency.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yeah.